He told me I had already called step 5 when I had not even started the list. That was the first thing. He said it like he was bored. Step 5. Confirm crossfeed, he said, and I had my finger still on the cover for step 1. We were on the down leg. Small things went off. The cabin clock slipped 3 minutes fast and then 2 slow. The right panel flickered and went dark and came back. The radio hissed. A thick hiss. I tapped the display. Nothing. My brother cleared his throat and said it again. Step 5. Quit it, I said. I'm working. He did not answer. The static took a breath and said, confirm crossfeed. It said it in pieces. Not a voice. Not a tone I knew. Just little bites in the hiss that shaped the words. I thought my head was going. I rolled the dial to clear the channel. I tried A, then B. I clicked the reset. I told him to cycle the box. He did it. The hiss stayed. It kept bleeding those words. Confirm crossfeed. Confirm pressure. Verify seal. Verify seal. We put her down anyway. It was a soft touch and then a shiver through the floor. Dust came up like a pale blanket and then stayed around. It was wrong how it hung. It stayed and kissed the legs and the glass and did not fall the way I knew dust should fall there. It smeared the windows. We killed the descent and went to safe, and he said, confirm crossfeed, again, flat. I felt a taste at the back of my mouth. Bitter metal. I swallowed hard. I tried to clear the comm one more time. I pulled the cord on my side and checked the pins. I pushed it back in. I turned the gain low and high. The hiss kept its slow, wet sound. When it broke to say, checklist, and then it rolled through a ladder of steps I did not want to hear yet. Depress. Open. Unlatch. Step out. We're not going anywhere yet, I said. We wait. He nodded. Once. His skin looked pale where it showed inside the helmet collar. We ran the rest by hand. We did not tell the ground about the words. I did not want to be scrubbed by some guy with a tie because a box crackled funny. We were older, the two of us. He was still my kid brother, though. He bounced his heel against the panel. He had done that at the kitchen table when he was 10. We slept in turns. I did not sleep. I watched the numbers fight each other. The cabin was warm, except when a patch of air near my face went cold. It was not a draft. It was like a hole in the air, and my breath fogged for a second right in front of my nose. I wiped at a helmet that was not even on. The fog went away. The dust stayed. It crawled in on our suits at the joints when we cracked the hatch to sample air. It should not have. We kept that hatch fast. Still, later, I found a smear of gray grit inside a latch that had never seen the outside. We went out on the second day because the antenna on the far leg showed a fault, and one of the boxes did not ping. The hiss kept saying, checklist. It rolled the words soft and dull. Suit power. Confirm. Fans. Confirm. I made him repeat after me instead, to make the cadence mine. We stepped down into that dry yard. It was quiet. The only sound was the pump in my back and his voice when he breathed too hard. The sun cut hard shadows, and the sky was that black you can fall into if you stare. We walked to the far leg and I bent to the panel. The meter needle twitched and then slid all the way out of range and then back. My hand shook. I felt that taste again. It came with a noise in my jaw that I thought was in my teeth. He stood behind me and touched my shoulder. Cold? He said. I'm fine, I said. My visor fogged along the edges even with the fans full. I wiped with the back of my glove and made a streak. We were headed back when he turned his head and said, "Hear that?" I heard nothing. Then the ground under my boots hummed. It was low and fast, like a stack of bees under a table. Small pebbles in the dust did a tight jump and settled again. He stepped away from me, past the leg and toward the rim of a shallow crater I had not seen on the maps. It was only 20 meters. It was nothing. We had a line between us. He got to the edge and went to his knees. "What are you doing?" I said. I pulled on my end of the line. He braced his foot and did not move. "Something," he said. "There's a piece." I went slow because I had that old ache behind my eyes that I got when I was tired. I got to the lip and saw it. The dust did a kind of curl at the bottom, as if the ground breathed, and a curved edge of something dark lay out. It was a ring piece. Not smooth. Pitted, but not from this place. The surface ate light. It bent the sight. My hand meter went sideways and then tried to spin. The numbers did not know where to sit. On the ground near it, our little wrench moved on its own toward the edge of the crater. Not falling. It slid sideways like a lazy fish. I caught it by the cord. The pull was not strong. It was there. "You see that?" I said. It was flat in my throat. He nodded. The hiss in my ear said, "Checklist," and then said, "Approach. Inspect. Recover." It said it in the same wet chew. He put his glove on the ring. Dust crawled up his fingers as if it had oil in it. It climbed. "Stop," I said. I took his wrist. He jerked like he had been asleep and woke up quick. "Yeah," he said. "Yeah." I waved the antenna at it. The signal bent and popped like I had stuck it in a bath. We backed up. I marked our path with steps. We did not bring it in. We went back to the leg slow. He looked over his shoulder at it 3 times. I counted. Inside, I found dust around the inner hinge of the hatch. It sat where it should not. I wiped it with a cloth, and the cloth smeared black. My brother leaned on the wall and bled from his nose. It came out with little strings. He pinched hard and laughed a breath. "It's fine," he said through the pinch. "Dry air." He drifted. He would stand and stare at the panel and not blink. He would say, "Confirm crossfeed," under his breath. I put my hand on his neck once and it was cold. Not a fever. The air around him was cold. The cabin had a warm glow in the lights. There were spots where my fingers went numb for a second when I moved through them. I tried to tell the ground we had noise issues. The words stuck. "Negative impact on comm quality," I said, and then I heard myself and hated how it sounded like a report. The hiss took my words, mashed them, and spit, "Checklist. Depress. Open. Unlatch," right back on my loop. I pulled the cord off my box for a second in a temper. The hiss stayed. It came from somewhere else. It came from the hull. We agreed to go back to the crater. I said we would put a flag 2 meters from it and leave a marker and a camera on a stick. Get a look without going dumb and trying to pick up a thing we did not understand. He nodded. He was my younger brother. He always took orders from me until he did not. We went out at noon, if noon meant anything there. The clock said noon. My watch said a different time. They drifted and then kissed and then drifted again. We walked with the tools. The little hammer, the scoop, the tongs. The hammer tugged left, then stopped, then tugged again as we got close. He wheezed, and I heard a click in the loop that I thought was the mic. He stopped. "You're fogging," he said. "You too," I said. We stood there and wiped our visors with the backs of our hands like we were in the rain. The ring had more of itself out. That made no sense. The ground did not move here. The shadow lay the same. I felt that hum again, higher now, and the dust at the bottom traced a very clean circle. It was wrong. Patterns here came from boots and tools. Not this. The hiss said, checklist, remove gloves, confirm skin, and my throat went tight. I was glad it was me who heard it first, because if he had heard it first, he might have tried it. He had that look. The one he had as a kid when he wanted to touch the stove. I set the camera. I held my breath, like that would change anything. The scoop handle jerked in my sleeve and tore free. It slid down the slope toward the ring. He went on his belly and reached. I hammered my boot heel into the dust and leaned, grabbed his ankle, and leaned harder. I felt the pull. It was not a clean pull. It pulsed. My head pounded time with it. The scoop kissed the edge and rattled like a tuning fork. For a second I thought it would drag him over the side, slow and polite. He grunted and hooked the scoop with the tongs and dragged it back. He put it on the ground and tied it down with the line like it was a dog. He turned and laughed, wild for a second. I put my hand on his shoulder and shoved hard to remind him he had a body here. He came back. The hiss said, confirm seal, in that dead way. We got him upright. He took a breath, too fast. His nose ran again, a thin line down to his lip. He swiped it with his glove and made a gray smear under the outer glass. I saw it and wanted to say something, and then the left side of my suit creaked like it had stepped on the hull of a ship. It was that sound, the one a thin wall makes when it takes a push. My wrist felt cold. I looked. A clean little slice had opened on the cuff of my left glove where the scoop handle had hit me when he dragged it back. It was that small. A pale feather of frost bloomed out quick and stuck. I had 3 seconds in my head as a number. I slammed the patch pad, the one we all trained with. My hand shook. The patch went half on and then slid. The hiss said, depress, like it had been waiting. I hit it again. It took. The suit's needle slid down and hovered. I got my breath back. I wanted to vomit from the taste of metal. He had watched me do it. He had not moved. He had just stood there, stiff, and watched my hand try to hold my air in place. When I could stand up, he came close and touched his helmet to mine. Glass to glass. It made a little kiss and then soap squeal. "You good?" he said. He sounded like he had a pillow over his mouth. "I'm good," I said. We should have gone in. We did not. We put the flag. We took the camera. The camera watched the ring for a minute, and then the picture in the cabin turned into a flat gray with a curl of darker gray where the edge cut it. It made my eyes hurt to stare. Back inside, I peeled my suit and checked the glove in the light. The cut looked too clean for dust. I patched the patch with tape. We drank warm water. The water tasted like a penny. The spots of cold got worse. The left side of the cabin ran 20 degrees colder than the right for 10 minutes, and then they evened out. The dust from the hinge had found the vents. The filter cut a line in it, and then it came through anyway in a slow, pretty fall into the cabin. It made a thin band across my lap, and then settled into a ring around the mid-floor. I put my boot through it, annoyed, and the ring closed again a minute later. The hiss talked to me, and it did not care if I answered. We decided to go up early. I said it first. He nodded. He nodded too fast. "Up is good," he said. He looked at the hatch when he said it, not at the engine button. That made my teeth hurt. We moved to ascent. The hiss poured the steps out ahead of me. Arm. Pressurize feed. Ignition. Abort. It added that last one itself. Plane. I did not like that. I felt sweat under my hairline. The clock set a time that did not match the ground clock. The ground was slow. Or we were fast. I could not tell. My own watch had stopped and then started. I shook it. That was dumb. He put his hand on the engine arm. I put my hand over his. We counted. I hit it. There was a low punch in the floor and then nothing. The cabin fell 1 inch into itself, it felt like. The whole place shivered. The engine failed to light. Every alarm light that could pop did. Red, yellow, red. He made a sound, a bark. I hit the abort. It killed what little push we had, and we almost landed back crooked on the frame that held us up. You can feel crooked even on the moon, it turns out. The hiss went dead flat, and the only thing in my head was my own breath booming. Then the hiss came back. Checklist. Abort. Reset. Confirm fuel. Pressurize. It said it in the right order. For a second, I wanted to say thanks. We try again, I said. He shook his head and then nodded. I needed him to nod. He put his hand where it should go. I put mine. We ran it again, clean and mean. I spoke the steps out loud to kill the hiss, and I did not rush. He did not jump ahead. He watched my mouth. I hit ignite. This time it caught, and the floor came up and eased, and we were moving. For 8 seconds, I felt the old thing you feel when you leave anything. My heart went up into my throat, and I smiled into it. Then the cabin vibrated. Not engine vibration. The thin hull took a set of taps that walked around it. It was not loose gear. It was not my foot on a bracket. It started at the right side and walked to the left, and then it sat behind my head. The dust that had got into the cabin floated in a slow circle, even though there was still gravity. It did not fall. It made a ring mid-air. I watched it with one eye when I should have watched the meters. "Hold," I said. "Hold." He had his face tilted toward the ceiling like he was listening for rain. We rose. We were on our way. I kept my hand light on the stick. I talked to the ground, and I told them nothing they could use. I gave them numbers and kept the hiss out of my mic with my hand around it. He sat quiet. He only breathed. I could hear a click in the loop that went steady, and then faltered, and then steady. It matched his breath at first, and then it matched another rhythm. I did not think of heartbeats until later. We dipped, just a bit, and the engine coughed. That cough ate one of the bolts and threw it into the wall. I heard it and flinched. He flinched later, after it hit. He was a half second behind everything now. We got on the straight line to where we needed to meet the other ship. The timings did not sit right. The numbers said one thing. The sky said another. The hiss gave me a checklist that was for docking. Approach. Cone. Capture. Verify seal. It wanted to keep going. It started to say, open, and I slapped the panel like that would make it shut up. We did not make the rendezvous. I will say that straight. We went high and slow. The other ship called, and I heard one clean word from a human voice, and then the hiss ate him. My brother turned his head as if he could make them out with his ear. His nose had bled and then stopped, and then tried again. The smear had dried under the collar. "Hey," I said. "Look at me." He did not. He moved his hand to the little knob that set the cabin equalize. He turned it the wrong way, and I saw the needle drop. My stomach fell in a way it had not since I was a kid. I grabbed his wrist and turned it back. Air hissed in my ear from somewhere that was not a speaker. He looked at me, and his eyes were there for 1 inch of time. He nodded. "I'm sorry," he whispered. He had his own voice then, the one I knew. He shook his head like a dog. "It's in my head," he said. "It is not words. It is steps." "We hold," I said. We hold and we breathe, and we wait for the line. He nodded again, and his eyes went empty. The hiss said, "Depress. Open." Unlatch, and his hand twitched. I tied him to the seat with the strap that went one time around his waist. He let me. That should have told me something. We did one more burn with what fuel we had. It was bad. It hurt the hull. The taps on the wall turned into a hum that crawled inside my teeth and made them buzz. The dust ring inside hung in the air like a thin moon of our own that we had made without meaning to. My helmet, still off, fogged along the edge with my own breath inside the cabin. I wiped it out of habit. It made no sense. I laughed once. I sounded sick. He came back to me again, brief. We were in the drift after the burn, and I was trying to fudge the numbers. He looked at me and he grabbed my hand. His palm was damp, cold. He squeezed it hard. "Don't let me open the hatch," he said. "You won't," I said. He breathed through his nose twice, hard, and then he was gone again. His face went slack and clean like a mask. He did not open the hatch. That was the truth. I did. That was the last thing. I did not choose it. I saw my hand, and my hand had a job. It knew the steps. The hiss said, "Depress," and I pushed the cover with my thumb, and I did not feel panic until the needle had started to dip. The cold hit my eyes dry. He yelled in a wordless way. He threw his shoulder into me and knocked my hand away and hit the knob back, and the hiss in the cabin was loud enough to make my ears feel full. Air rushed into the small places and the thin wall flexed. It popped once and held. I did not know if it would hold another. We tumbled. Not full tumble. A nod. Enough for the ring of dust to lift and settle and then lift again. The hum beat time with it. It reached a pitch and then stopped and then hit again. My head pounded in the same rhythm. I could feel my pulse in my tongue and it tasted like a nail. "Strap," he said. He fought the strap off his waist and clamped it to my chest instead. He did not strap himself. He stripped his glove and then he did not. He fought with the ring for one insane second and then he put the glove back. His breath fogged the collar. He was sweating so hard his hair was wet and stuck flat. "Start the record," I said. He hit the button that dumped the cabin to the little tape. He looked at me the way he did when he was 6, and I came in from the yard with a split lip, and he thought I had won. Then he turned and put his forehead against the wall and listened. He stood there like that, listening to something I could not hear that was not in the radio. The wall under his head vibrated and I felt it through my feet. I could feel it in my teeth again. We were not going anywhere. The fuel said that. The meters said that. The dust ring inside the cabin said that in a way I did not like. It spun slower now. It made a clean line. The hiss in the radio got quiet and then came back full with the checklist from Earth. It was our voice. It was our language. It was the steps we knew, but it jumped lines. It said the lines you say when you are safe on the ground and your gloves are off and you are laughing. Open. Unlatch. Stand down. He smiled with his mouth closed like he had a toothache. I held the pen and I tried to write the time in the log, and the numbers would not hold still. They drifted under the nib like a fish under a dock. I wrote what I could. I wrote what happened. I thought if I could stick it down in the book, it would be more real and less the other thing it wanted to be. The cold spot grew. It was not a spot now. It was the left half of the cabin. The right half held a normal warmth. It was a bad joke. His side was cold. Mine was warm. He shivered and then held still. He kept holding the wall with his forehead, and I did not know why. Then I heard it through the metal. A little tick. Not a real sound. A transmitted click from his suit belt. It was his heart monitor. It ticked into the panel because the wires crossed in ways I would not explain well. Each click was solid, one by one, steady. The dust ring inside the cabin pulsed once each click. It lifted an inch, fell, lifted, fell. The hum and the click found each other and sat on the same line. I could not make my eyes stop staring at the ring. I taped the hatch. The tape did nothing to a seal as thick as my thumb. Still, I put it on. I laughed again and coughed. My nose ran, and it was bright red for a second and then dark when it took the dust. My tongue felt full of old blood. The metallic taste crawled up and set itself. I rubbed my arms. They prickled. The cold dug in, through the warm patch, into me. He kept his head against the wall and he started to talk a little. Little words. Step 1, he said. Step 2. He did not say what the steps were. He did not have to. I could fill them with anything. The hull took one more set of taps. Not a pattern. A walk. They went around and found a place by my shoulder and stopped. Air went thin under my tongue. It came back. The dust inside tightened. It drew itself into a cleaner ring. It made me think of a hula hoop left spinning on a floor. I hated that thought. It was simple and wrong. I wrote until my fingers hurt. I wrote what I saw and did and felt. I wanted to cut it down to what mattered. I did not have time. The radio static kept shifting into words that told me how to set myself aside piece by piece. Remove. Open. Confirm skin. I tensed my hands. I put the pen between my fingers and I did not let go. He looked at me one more time. He smiled a poor smile. He opened his mouth like he was going to say a joke about home. He closed it. He said, "Heard you before, and I did not know what he meant." Then I did. He meant back on the way down when he said, "Step 5" before me. He had heard it then. The air started to leave in a way I could not stop. Not a scream. A sigh. It slid out of a seam we could not reach. The tape did not care. The gauge moved, and I watched it like it was a sunrise. Slow and simple, and you want to stop it even though it would not stop for a whole planet. I felt my cheeks go dry. I put my hand on the wall where his head rested. The metal was cold enough to bite. The click from his chest came through it, steady and honest. The dust ring hung and held. It pulsed at the click. I put my finger out and the dust did not stick to me. It just hung there and trembled. It made a clean edge. My breath fogged in the warm side and vanished in the cold side. The hum found a low that my bones accepted, and then it stopped. It did not ramp. It stopped, and the silence was a wait. I kept writing because that was all my hands knew. I thought about how we used to stand at the fence and listen for trains as kids. We would put our heads to the rail and count how far they were by the shakes. He did it wrong on purpose to make me mad. He would lie to see me argue. He would smile that ugly grin he had when he broke his tooth. He still had that chip. It showed when he turned his head and the light hit him. He was crying a little. The tears did not fall. They made a line at the inner corner and stayed. I could feel the room go thin. My ears went hot and then cold. My teeth stopped buzzing. The click kept on. The dust ring drew itself a touch tighter at each click. It was calm. It should never have been calm. My pen scratched until it did not. My hand slowed. The page took the last line it would take from me. I put my finger in the dust one more time. It trembled like it knew the rhythm of my brother's heart. That was the last thing I saw. The ring, neat and small and wrong, and a steady click that reached my skin through the wall. I thought, very clearly, that I should have told him step 5 myself, and I would have if I had breath left to waste. Then there was the one sound, and no more. That's it for tonight's tale. If it kept you up, maybe leave a like to keep me company. Subscribe for more strange stories, and maybe, just maybe, click the next one before the lights go out. See you in the next one.